afternoon, everyone. This is RAND. Welcome to the Global Guided Meditation Call for Thursday, May 22, 2025, after 3:15 p.m. Eastern. We'll be having a reverse aging health call tomorrow night, after 9:15 p.m. Eastern, Friday. It's interesting when you're an observer and you're watching things, and the whole scope and not part of it. And it's the processes that are happening. You see some good always. Always see some good, and then you see not so good. This is why I suggest that you observe or watch rather than judge or be in it. Because when you're in it, you don't get it all. But when you're outside of it, you see it all. You see what's happening, what's going on. And the purpose of through heart-mindedness is to watch this is so you can review and see the truth. Now, you can't do that with ego mind. It's got to be done through heart mind. Ego mind will mess it all up. And when we realize that we are the center of the shift and the change on this planet. Now, the majority of us, at least 85%, don't know this. They don't know it. And so they're in a whole different realm, so to speak. In order for things to shift into higher frequency, we choose to shift into higher frequency. We shift into higher frequency by being in the now. Because this it takes away the incessant mind and ego. The worry, the stress, the fear, the anxiety, all of it. It doesn't exist in the now. It never did. And since we're so in a habitual connection with yesterday and tomorrow, we do gravitate to it. Even though we know that yesterday and tomorrow is not where we care to be. And yesterday and tomorrow, this civilization has existed for millions of years. Look where we're at. See? You begin to realize, not from the standpoint of judging, but from the perspective of saying, our frequency is too low, collectively. This is why we have so many things that many of us really don't care to have take place. And we can say to ourselves is that omnipotently powerful, supreme, manifesting, abundant beings that never die. And we look at this from the standpoint that, well, a lot of people will say, well, I don't have that power. I can't do that. That's crazy. It's all made up stuff. No, I don't have that power. But in reality, you do. And it's interesting because it's been proven thousands of times. Isn't that wild? And I have watched experiments where, when I talk about particles forming, where one of us is focusing, it's a different feeling when you actually witness it. When you see particles forming where one of us is focusing. It's really wild because then that consummates the fact that We are omnipotently powerful, supreme, manifesting abundant beings that never die. And while we're in these bodies, we use the body and we focus to manifest what we want. The impact, imagine, the impact of teaching children in the beginning of who and what they are all through their lives. Not just, a couple of years. And they learn right from the beginning to be in the now and not yesterday and tomorrow. What do you think happened? There will be a lot of people on this planet that will manifest instantaneously what they want. I mean, people on this planet work. What do they work for? Okay. Well, most of the time they work to live. Okay? They work to live. If they didn't work, in most cases, they wouldn't live. But it is mandatory that you work. Society says you're supposed to work. And everybody believes that everybody should work that's capable of working. What does that create? Well, in most cases it creates a lot of stress, anxiety, worry, and fear. Because people are working for all the wrong reasons. They're working to survive. We didn't come here to survive. We came here to enjoy our lives. And see, it's not, it is not front and center in our society that subject is discussed a lot. Have you ever noticed? It's not really discussed a lot at all, if anywhere. And it should be, because of the fact that it starts moving the civilization in a completely new direction. You imagine a civilization that has mastered the ego mind and their thoughts, that reside in heart-mindedness and the now, what this planet would be like. It would be absolutely magna-glorious. And everybody, it's really funny how all this stuff is predicated on, people on the planet have to work. If they didn't work, it'd be a disaster. The funny thing is that we're always exerting. We're always exerting. We're always exerting energy. We're always doing. We're always moving. We're always seeking. We're always pursuing. Think about that. This is why so many of us, we use the term get burned out physically and emotionally from working. And so they create a thing called retirement, where people say, well, I'm not going to work anymore. Too old, and too sick, too weak, and I've done my thing. And so they get a small pension in most cases, and they survive. You see how this looks when you're just observing it and you're not in it? You can see the clarity and the whole picture of it. And in a new Earth, in a higher dimensional frequency like 5D, it's not going to be that way. See? You will not have to work to survive. Nobody on this planet will. The financial, might as well call it restitution for humanity, will be there. It's like anything else. You do a thing for so long, and then it becomes so redundant that it no longer serves you the greater good, or the greatest good. So you dump it, and you move on to different things, greater things. And that's what we're doing. And there's a lot of things that are in the works of happening. And I'm talking about the life of the planet. I'm talking about the life of the civilization. Those are the key factors that will determine where we're going. Now, when you focus on certain things, what do? Well, you create them. Now, do you acknowledge that you created them? Sometimes we do. We'll say, I did that. There's the only explanation for this is that I manifested it, which is a good thing because you're confirming your power. Not in an arrogant ego way, but in a heart-minded way. A civilization can operate through ego-mindedness until it matures enough to identify ego mind as no longer needed, and it must be mastered. It's a process for us. It's a process for all species throughout all that there is, ever has been, ever will be, ever beyond, and forever. It's what it is. It's a process. Some civilizations advance, flourish, and progress. Others fade away. And when you see several civilizations fade away through millions and billions of years, it's not difficult to identify a civilization that is on the precipice of having that happen to them. And this is where our power comes in. We have the power collectively on this planet to shift everything in a split second, to change the direction of our progression or de-progression. This civilization is in a direction of de-progression, which means what? Well, we're declining in number as a civilization. We are greatly declining in number, but we don't know it. It is, when you look at billions and you say that's not possible and we're fine and, we'll continue for a very long time. But when you look at evolution, what happens when a civilization is presented with evolution? Now, the evolution means that a species chooses to evolve to continue as a species. Or it doesn't, and it is no more. That's what this civilization is facing, the decision to evolve. And what that means is that many of the things that we practice and interact with and embrace will no longer be useful to us. Questions are asked that, we're in an ascension awareness. And people wonder what happens to those who aren't there yet, the ones that are still over here doing other things and it doesn't register with them. They reincarnate. But do they see us? When you're on another frequency, higher, you look at 3D to 5D. That's two massive leaps in frequency. A 3D, cannot operate in a 5D without awareness, clarity of who and what they are. It would drive them crazy. So in the transition to 5D, it will be like many of us never existed. You see? It will be like many of us never existed. Those of us who do go into 5D. Will everybody? Yeah, eventually everybody will. Right? On these meditations, see, we talk about things. We identify them. That's huge. You know why? Because we're embracing them instead of running away from them. We're not looking at this as it's going to be horrible. We're looking at it as an absolute phenomenal, magna glorious ascension. Some of us are kind of giddy about it. Some of us are in a hurry, which I recommend don't be, because it'll be upon you much sooner than you realize. And the reason we talk so much about manifesting is because that's what we do. It's what we do. We create, we manifest. See, we manifest while we're in these bodies. We don't need to manifest when we're out of the body. Just while we're in material physical life. And we create, we manifest. This is all we do. We create, we manifest 24/7. We create our lives. Right? We manifest things into our life every split second. And see, when we get clear enough on that, without judgment of oneself, you realize is that you have the power to say to you, I no longer care to engage in this, in ego mind. So what do? You leave the mind alone. How do you do that? These meditations. You move yourself into the now. Because you want to move yourself into the now. You find a comfortable place. You don't have any outside interference. You're as still as a statue. You relax into your body. You focus on your natural breath rising and falling. And what does that mean? You're being. You're in the now. You're in silence. You are with the God that you are. See, we're taught the opposite. Isn't that interesting? We really are. We're taught the opposite on how to be on planet Earth. One might say, what the heck's the opposite? Well, you go from silence, peace, and being, right, to rushing, pursuing, and achieving. Big difference, isn't it? And we've been taught that you cannot just sit and be, because you're wasting your life away and you're wasting time. You've got to pursue, you have got to do this and do this and do this, and you've got to do it as fast as you can. It almost reminds you, if you look at a beehive, right, apiary, and the beekeeper opens it up and you take out the slat, and you see all these worker bees. And they're going absolutely crazy, nonstop. They're just work. It's amazing to watch them. And then in the center of the hive, you see the queen. And everything is catered to the queen. Why? Because the queen procreates. It keeps the population alive and flourishing. Without the queen, the bees would die off. Okay? Now, switch that into our world, and you look at the planet and the people on it as worker bees, as drones. And they're working, constantly. Some of us decide to do what? Not do that. And we shift our direction into a state of ascension, evolution. And this may sound strange to some of us, we have mastered this life. We're now toward the end of transcending with clarity and awareness that we are gods in these bodies, that we're pure consciousness. See, this is the end culmination of this part of the journey. So we recognize it without judgment. And we know that we are ready to ascend into a higher dimensional frequency because it's a new adventure. We all really do want or desire a planet that is what? At peace. For everyone. Not just a select few like it's always been, but for everyone. Peace, joy, prosperity, abundance, deep eternal love, happiness, bliss, tranquility. Now, when you look at the planet, as you observe it in the civilization, is that prevalent? No. Not at all is it prevalent. Now, we're not talking about conflicts like in wars, but it's smaller, more isolated amongst all of us, where we fight with ourselves, we fight with our loved ones, we fight with strangers. You see what I mean? The conflict is rampant on the planet, but it's not a big, huge, cataclysmic war. We're done with that, and you can see that and feel it. But it's the little things that we all are seduced into. We get agitated, irritated towards ourselves and each other. If you're agitated and irritated with yourself, guess what? What's going to happen? You're going to be agitated with others. Guaranteed. If you're dissatisfied with yourself, or you're not happy with where you're at in life, you're going to give that out to others. And that's what's so important about a collective, seamless comprehension that we're all gods in these bodies, and the bodies are temporary, and the life is temporary. And we're here for a short period of time to experiencing these amazing bodies in this amazing planet. That's what we're here to do. And we aren't really interested in leaving a mark behind in society or a legend or whatever. We're here to do our thing and then we leave. And our thing is to enjoy our lives, prosper, flourish, and expand out into the galaxy and then eventually the universe. Where we're content and at peace within ourselves. Where we look at things from a watcher-observer perspective and not a judger perspective. We begin to realize that every one of us has a God within, so we're in reverence of that. We bow to one another because of the God within each of us. Not the body. Now on this planet, it's mostly the visual, the body, is how we identify and interact with each other. Well, it's a material physical world, right? So we don't have the wherefore or the comprehension of anything else, so we evaluate meeting or interacting with others based upon the visual. In most cases. When we're able to look beyond the body to the God within, then we're in 5D. And I mean all the time, not once in a great while. Well, I was able to look past the body and see the God, so now I'm in 5D. It doesn't work that way. It is a consistent advancing, ascending, spiritual frequency that we choose to embrace. And that's what's happening. More and more people are choosing to embrace it. See, the key factor is faith, trust, and confidence through heart-mindedness in oneself. 100% of all three of those. 100% of faith, 100% of confidence, 100% of trust at all times. That's not a cinch. And we have that same power in the universe. It doesn't matter what occurs with that faith, trust, and confidence is always there. We are secure within ourselves by embracing the gods that we truly are within these bodies. Remember, the God is in the soul. And we learn this. Because you know why? Because we choose to. Because we're curious too. We're all curious. We all have childlike curiosity. A lot of us suppress it. Others just, they embrace it. This is great. It's like, why do things have to be this way? They don't. They really don't. You change it the way you see it. In other words, you change so that the life that you have is the life that you want. Now, it's not like you're saying, oh, I hate my life, it's horrible right now. You embrace it, and you're grateful in deep gratitude. So it's not like you don't like the life you have because it's perfect exactly the way it is. But you desire other things in your life that you would like to have manifested. And you focus on that, and I guarantee you focus on that through heart-mindedness, it will manifest. You focus on it through ego-mind, you're going to be one heck of a frustrated being. And the nice thing about that is that we can compare ego-mind with heart-mind. We know the difference. We know what ego-mind is. Ego-mind is an illusion. You have the mind that creates the ego to assist it. The illusion is there for us to experience and learn. We eventually experience and learn enough about the ego-mind by being in heart-mind through these meditations that we master it. And it becomes our ally. We then direct it through heart-mindedness. And it is now our servant, and we are not its slave. That's a huge transition for this civilization. And then what happens? We embrace the gods that we are. We commune with the gods that we are. We're in perpetual peace. That happens because we're no longer ego-minded, and we have mastered ego-mind, and ego-mind has now taken a back seat. And of course, ego-mind, like I have shared, will find peace within, and it will no longer be, since it's an illusion anyway. We create these things so that we learn and experience and advance. I know it sounds strange to some of us. Others say, this is great. If I hadn't done this or experienced this, I wouldn't be where I'm at today. And most of us will say that. Even though we will, through our lives at times, complain about this and be upset about this, when you're posed that question, and it usually happens later, and you're posed that question, if there's anything that you would have done differently, what would it have been? Most of us will say nothing. It made me who I am, which I'm deeply grateful for. Now, some of us will answer and say, I would have taken better care of myself, I would have watched my weight, I wouldn't have eaten the foods I ate. And what's that all about? Taking care of the body. That's what it's all about, taking care of the body so we can stay in the body as long as we can. Would you like to come into a material physical body and then leave 9 months later, which has happened? Boy, that's a short stint, isn't it? But we do things to help others. We come into these lives, into these bodies to help ourselves, and by helping ourselves, we're helping others. And by helping others, we're helping ourselves. It's when we become aloof or separated in the illusion, bitter, revengeful, manipulative, where we lose sight of the fact of who and what we are completely. We don't even think about it. But those of us who have chosen to ascend into a higher consciousness are the ones that will be in New Earth, fifth dimensional frequency. There's thousands of frequencies. There's endless dimensions. There's endless parallel universes. I mean, it is massive in many different directions. We're focused on where we're at in this very now moment. That's where we're focused. And we began to open more and more doors for greater spiritual depth inside. And we need that because it balances everything out. And, you know, we cannot be fully enlightened unless we are enjoying our connection with the vibrant, rich matrix of powerful manifesting energy that exists in quantum particles all around us. You're walking, right? The body is energy. You're walking through atmosphere, which is all energy. You are energy moving with energy. Everything is energetic. You take a walk in the park or through nature. It's all energy that has taken on form. The form is what you're viewing. You, the very core of you, the God that you are, is pure energy. The body is pure energy, taking on different forms. So the energy forms these different shapes and colors, and we enjoy it because we're part of that energy. This is why we're never separate, ever, period. This is why so much effort is spent to convince us that we're separate, so that we never discover who and what we are, so that we continue this illusion of reincarnating for another 1 billion or 2 billion years. All the worlds are one world. Two sides of the same coin. They are independent with each other, feeding each other, feeding into each other. It cannot exist without each other. If we judge something in the material world as bad, we set up an energetic block inside us which stops our spiritual growth, and vice versa. It is only through us surrendering to the merging of our spiritual and material nature that we find the fastest path to freedom. And ironically, we will find the experience of spiritual surrender is one of the greatest manifesting secrets that was ever invented, and causes our dreams and desires to manifest faster than the speed of light. I'll go even one step further. 1,000 times the speed of light. We meditate on the bliss, the blissfulness, the joy, the happiness, the contentment, the peace, the tranquility, the benevolence. This is what we're made of. Deep eternal love. The God within these bodies is made of that. We are the love. We are deep eternal love. We are happiness. It's not something that you experience a little bit here and a little bit there. It's something that we are. It is us and we're it. And when we actually open up to that and we get the clarity with it, that's when our vibrational frequencies match that of the God that we are. And then what happens? We progress. We advance. We experience more in much different frequency. Some people say, well, you know, we have mastered. Those of us who transcend, those of us who go into 5D, is because we mastered 3D. That's evolution. That's why we're evolving. We've chosen to leap into evolution. Every species evolves. Life evolves with some form of consistency, so the material physical life, can flourish and expand and learn more and experience more. One might say, well, we can all learn and experience from each other lifetime after lifetime. We've been there and done that many times. And some of us have decided to move on. Is there any negatives here? No. Is it negative that some majority of people will stay and reincarnate until they get it? No. This isn't a race. And then others will advance. They'll ascend. But see, a lot of people kind of get caught up in the ego mindset, which this is kind of a race then, isn't it? Well, no, because there's no finish line. It wasn't designed that way. There's no finish line. We do. This is what we do. This is what we all do. It's a never-ending journey. What the heck else would we do? One might say, well, okay, so we do other things. Well, tell me, what would you do? If you weren't creating and manifesting, what would you be doing? And the answer, it's like silence. Because when it all boils down to it, this is what we are. We're super manifestors when we're in physical form. This is what we do. And we create our lives, we create our experiences. But most of us don't know we do that. Most of us are completely unaware. We believe we've been taught that there's something outside of us that's doing all of this. It's like the belief that, we're going to have a great galactic flash, and it's going to turn on all of our DNA, and we're going to be just super accelerated forward. And it's all going to be done for us, and we're not going to experience any of it, period. Because it's done for you. When it's done for you, you don't experience it. You experience it when you implement it, because then you have the clarity. You have the awareness. I'll join you in meditation. I'll return to close us out. Take an easy and slow breath in through the nose. And an easy and slow breath out from the mouth. Remain still, focused on your breath rising and falling and relaxed into your body. For today, investigate this experience called breathing all day long. Keep bringing your mind back to the breath, following it wherever it flows. Just be with it. If it's shallow, deep, fast, or sluggish, do not try to change your breath in any way. Simply connect to it. Feel it from your heart, as if you're making friends with it. Notice how it changes when you merge with it and allow yourself to become it fully. You are always having an experience. Just be present to the one that's happening now. If you're demanding to have an experience, you're squeezing out this one and actually missing it. The moment you stop trying to make something big happen, it happens for you. Take this with you for the rest of the day into the evening and night and the following morning. We'll return here Friday, May 23, 2025, after 3:15 p.m. Eastern and after 9:15 p.m. Eastern. For the reverse aging health call and all the rest, and global guided meditation call. Be gentle, kind, generous, and humble with yourself at all times. Be in the highest of the highest high, deepest of the deepest deepest, purest of the purest purest, eternal gratitude at all times, no matter what's going on within you or outside of you. Open your heart, allow the magic to flow in.